Hi, I'm Tim Zacharias with Cougar USA and your host of Building Value. My guest today is Bradley Elliott, CEO of Houston BOMA, the Building Owners and Managers Association. Bradley, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited about this show today. We're going to be talking about what BOMA is and how it benefits its members and the commercial real estate market as a whole. On Building Value, we go behind the scenes of building operations to showcase the people and products that make buildings work and the value they bring to the community. Nice. What can you tell me about where you grew up?
So I grew up in the Abilene area.
Okay.
Little town called Merle, Texas. No one knows it.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. If you're passing on I-20, you go through Abilene, you're heading out towards Lubbock, you'll see like a very small town, and there's like 2 exits, and then it's gone.
Sounds like one of those, if you hit the railroad tracks, you've gone too far.
Yes, there's one set of stoplights in town, and they aren't really lights, they're just caution lights to let you know if a train's coming through.
Nice.
So
Very cool.
Yeah, it was, and I grew up actually outside of that small town in the country. My parents had small land, like 120 acres. So I grew up out there, and then went into town for school. So
nice.
Country boy at heart.
Yeah, very cool. So what did you do after high school?
So I went to the University of North Texas,
Okay.
Denton, Texas, and went to school up there. Got my undergrad in finance, and it was actually while I was working there. Going to school there, that I got involved with associations and kind of association management, which has kind of been my career.
Sure. Yeah. So what did you do after graduation?
Yeah, so, when I was in college, I became the Director of Government Affairs intern.
Okay.
I guess you could say government affairs intern at the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas.
Sure.
Did that for about 6 months, and then while I was still in college, they gave me basically a full-time role as like a coordinator, member services coordinator. And, when I graduated college, they said, hey, you're already doing this job. Do you want to do it full-time for more money? And I was like, well, yes, that would be
That
nice.
sounds great, yeah.
And then did that for, a year or two, and then got an opportunity to become Director of Communications and Marketing for them. So that was kind of really my first big leadership role in an association. My undergrad was actually in finance, like I said. I wasn't expecting to do association management. I didn't even know that was a thing. It wasn't on my vision board as a child, obviously. But it was just something that I just kind of fell into and loved. And, my time, I spent 9 years at the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas. Very similar organization to BOMA, I would say, just targeted more at multifamily, but a lot of the way that they approach advocacy, a lot of the way that they, their member benefits and events are very similar. So that was really kind of a nice thing that I had that backdrop coming into this role.
Very cool. So how did you end up here in Houston with BOMA?
Yeah. I spent 9 years with the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas, left there, went and worked for the American Fire Sprinkler Association. Which represents, merit shop contractors, fire sprinkler contractors, and suppliers that supply the industry. I was their Director of Member Services, overseeing our national recruitment, retention, and engagement, and then also our chapter network. So that was a fun job. I got to travel around all over the country, go to fire protection trade shows, go to chapter meetings, start new chapters. When I started there, we had like 20 chapters, and we got up to 32 by the time I left. And that was a really great learning opportunity, great organization, great board. From there, I went a different route. I went and worked for the American College of Surgeons.
Okay.
So that's a professional society. I kind of moved away from trade associations, went to a professional society. And they're kind of like the House of Surgery. They represent all surgeons. There's separate organizations for orthopedic or, otolaryngology, which is ear, nose, and throat. I learned that.
All right, ENT. All right,
yeah,
I know that one.
Yes, yeah. All these different, sectors have their own organizations, but the American College of Surgeons is kind of the House of Surgery. All surgeons can join if they have the appropriate, qualifications, and that was a really great opportunity. They're a big international organization, like 80,000 members.
Wow.
$125 million budget, 500 staff members. So that was like a really great opportunity. I got to be the associate director in their member services division, working with the department director. We had, $25 million budget, 34 staff members, and that really gave me a really great opportunity to be in an executive role with a really big organization, to kind of see how a big organization like that functions and learn from that. And hopefully at Houston BOMA, you're starting to see some of those things get integrated here as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, can you tell us a little bit about Houston BOMA and I guess just BOMA in general?
Yeah. So, Houston BOMA, we are dedicated to the advancement of the commercial real estate industry. We are, our mission is really focused on providing, professional development, education, networking, exchange of information, advocacy to support the commercial real estate industry here in Houston.
Absolutely. So, and I guess, it sounds like you took a little bit of a, circuitous route to get here, maybe, but that, like you said, your experience in these other organizations is starting to kind of filter in here. So, what would you say are some of the things that maybe you've injected or that you've seen in your time here with BOMA? Because how long have you been with BOMA Houston?
Let me see. October 4th will be a year, so less than a year. Yeah. I think one of the things that I've really always had an interest in is kind of, data-centric processes, using data to improve. I think we're trying to track and measure a whole lot more here at Houston BOMA. I learned a lot about kind of interpersonal relationships and the ability to manage, competing interests and, difficult personalities, which I found that Houston BOMA members are very easy to deal with. So it's like I look like a superstar here.
There you go.
But yeah, I think the executive leadership traits and things like that I learned. And, just little things like, I worked with our director of communications and marketing on a communications audit, something that, really looking at what are we sending, when are we sending it, who are we sending it to, what kind of approvals are required, what kind of metrics are we tracking on them or not tracking on them, and I've tried to kind of integrate some of those types of high-level things into Houston BOMA.
Nice. So I'm a finance major as well from Texas A&M, and I definitely appreciate the data-driven approach to everything and seeing those metrics. So it's very cool. So, you kind of mentioned that Houston BOMA has very easy people to get along with and with the members, and I feel like in general the kind of commercial building sector or kind of the trades in general in Houston is very much like a community, and I think we've seen that play out a lot, especially over the last couple of years. But just everybody kind of seems to have a common goal of everybody getting better and sharing those trade practices. So what is kind of BOMA's role in that, and maybe you could expand on who your members are a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Our members are commercial real estate, so that could be offices, medical professional buildings, MOBs, industrial. We have some mixed use facilities as well, and then we have some kind of corporate owner occupied buildings as well.
Okay.
So yeah, basically the gamut of commercial real estate. We do try to serve them. We try to have resources for them, and within each of those membership categories, obviously, the individuals that work with those properties can be members through their property membership. So, the property managers, assistant property managers, asset managers, engineers. And recently we actually, as part of our new strategic plan, we're going to be launching property admin membership as well.
Okay.
Traditionally, we haven't targeted them, but, we really look at it. A lot of those folks, they make their way up. They become assistant PMs, and make their way up the chain. So we want to make sure we're kind of engaging the next generation.
Sure. That's really cool. And we're a member of BOMA, obviously, and we're, active. And I think one of the things that's been interesting for us is that it is engaging that owner and property management side a lot more than some of the other organizations that we're involved in locally that are maybe more geared towards, strictly the facility manager, the engineering side. So to kind of see the business side and the building operations side within the same organization is pretty neat.
Yeah. And, I think that's something that we do try to focus on. We have spent a lot of time, though. We are trying to expand our presence with engineers. We've gotten a whole lot more involved with ACOE.
Yep, it's a great
Association,
organization.
Jose Hernandez, great guy.
Yep.
He also has a vision for trying to kind of grow that organization. So we're kind of talking about where can we work together and collaborate and kind of grow both organizations. And then obviously, our vendors are a big member, big time part of our membership, really important to us. You can see I have my
There you go.
Buy Boma.
Very
There
nice.
you go. My Buy Boma pin on. Our vendor members are partners to our property managers. Really and truly, when I talk to property managers and they have their kind of trusted vendors that they work with and stuff, they're like, these are people that have been involved with BOMA. These are people that know my property inside out. These are people that aren't just vendors, they're consultants.
Sure.
They're people that help me to manage my property to the best of my ability. So
absolutely. I mean, it's a great, we say that all the time, that we want to be seen as a trusted partner, and it's definitely not a transactional world that we're living in the commercial buildings. I mean, these are buildings that are, being built and going to be used for a very long time.
Right.
So definitely from our perspective, we want to be a partner in that whole process as well.
Yeah.
So very, very similar approach, I would say, for us, and sounds like for the members as well. So that's
right.
good.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things that, whether it's the admin, the property admin that you're talking about, or maybe some of the younger members or newer members to commercial real estate in general, what are some of the tools that BOMA has to offer to help people grow in their career?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, BOMA's benefits, a big part of it is education and training, obviously. A well-educated commercial real estate industry is a stronger industry, So obviously we have a lot of kind of entry-level educational opportunities, things like our proprietary course, Building Engineering Management 101, for your kind of new engineers to kind of get to know how they can grow their engineering career. Obviously we have Foundations of Real Estate Management courses. We offer CMCP certificate courses. And then we also offer courses for the BOMI designations.
Right.
RPA, FMA, SMA, SMT. And then, lots of one-off seminar and webinar opportunities to kind of talk about trending issues in the industry to kind of keep my members up to date. That's a big part of what we do. Another thing I would say for people new to the industry trying to get involved, I mean, BOMA is a networking and connection place.
Absolutely.
It's a way to through our luncheons that we do, through our expo, through our networking events like the PAC clay shoot, our golf tournament, our maintenance maintenance Olympics, our annual awards, opportunities to get together and meet and get to know the other people in the industry, get to know your vendors and suppliers, build those relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the other one that I was seeing on the website is the Leadership Lyceum.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
So can you expand on that one a little bit?
Yeah. So the Leadership Lyceum is a program for emerging professionals. Those are generally they're going to be people with 10 years or less in the industry. And, the rising stars, this is really an opportunity. It's a full year program. There's multiple different courses you do throughout the year. One of them I teach, it's kind of advocacy related. We will have a city council member come in. We'll go down to City Hall, kind of see how the local legislative process works. We do kind of a deep dive on BOMA and, everything about Houston BOMA. How we interact with, the Southwest region, Texas BOMA, BOMA International. We have courses on leadership development skills. We do a course on public relations and branding. So we kind of give you a pretty wide view of BOMA and the commercial real estate industry that could be really, valuable. We usually only have 10 to 12 people each year in that program. And, anyone that ever goes through it, I mean, we have several people that went through it that are on our board now. It gives you, it's a BOMA 101, so to speak.
That's very cool. I mean, just in general, there's just a ton of, like you said, networking events that are available. I want to talk a little bit more about those in a minute, but the additional resources, the education, the Leadership Lyceum, all of those really seem to be geared towards, like you said, building a stronger kind of commercial real estate market here in Houston.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. So what do you feel like might be something that BOMA is doing that most members may not know about? or maybe kind of an indirect benefit?
Sure. I think that our advocacy, I mean, it's something that, I think a lot of members kind of have some idea about. But ultimately, what we do as an organization is behind the scenes for the good of the industry. Obviously, we have a legislative advisory committee made up of, very influential, important people in the industry, and they help me run our our advocacy program. Ultimately, we need to be involved at the municipal level, at the county level. We have Texas BOMA that's supporting us at the state level, but there's a lot of things that happen on the local level with permitting, with adverse ordinances. There's so many things that can go wrong on the local level, and we have to really kind of be there and be involved. We maintain relationships with legislators, and we have a very active PAC, and we stay involved in the political process through that. And that's something that a lot of that happens behind the scenes. We probably should do a better job of making instead of just saying, hey, we defeated this issue, making our members more aware of those issues. That's something we could work on. But overall, I mean, that's something that I don't think a lot of people understand. But, your dues, a portion of your dues are going towards, fighting on behalf of this industry.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I think that's only going to become more important and maybe a bigger part of what's driving how buildings are built or maintained or even upgraded. The more we're seeing the influence of the net zero carbon and other regulations that are kind of affecting this built environment. Being in Houston and in Texas in general, maybe the regulations aren't moving as quickly here as they are in some of the other parts of the country. Like you're seeing, DC, New York, California moving away from natural gas and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see, through your advocacy and through your interaction with all those people, how much that starts to become part of the conversation here and how it's going to impact the way that people operate their buildings.
Yeah. I mean, I think Texas, in general, we are a little bit more regulatory adverse.
Sure.
But, these things are coming. Electrification is a huge issue. You have metro areas that have said all buildings need to be electrified. No natural gas, no nothing. They all need to be electrified without really explaining, like, how we're going to fit all these extra buildings on the grid because the grid's already strained as is. But, politicians don't think about that stuff. They aren't worried about that. They want to do this, do this, do this. So there's a lot of things that are coming down the pipe that, are happening in other areas. And that's one thing where I would say, BOMA International, get involved with them, stay up to date with them, make sure you're on all their newsletters and things because they have a great advocacy team as well that's really at that national level, keeping an eye on these things that we need to know about, we need to be aware of.
Yeah, that's great. So you touched on some of the events earlier, and you mentioned the BOMA Expo. It's a great event down at Energy Center, and essentially like a local product show for any vendors, contractors, anything like that to kind of show off what they do and how they support the industry, and just a great networking event in general. Yeah. So we've had a booth at that one the last few years. Really enjoy that one. And the other one that we get involved in is the Engineer All-Stars. That was a great event. And I don't know, maybe talk a little bit. I don't want to spill too much thunder. I think we're going to do another episode on that one, but maybe you could talk a little bit about that one.
Yeah. So first I'll kind of hit the Building Expo. Yeah. I mean, one thing that's been a great event. We had record attendance last year. We had record number of exhibitors. One thing that we're going to be doing a little bit different next year is we're going to move it to the George R. Brown Convention Center.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Our contract was up with NRG, and we just were kind of ready for a change. We talked to a lot of members. We talked to a lot of our exhibitors, and they kind of said, it'd be nice to try something different. Maybe, we pick up some new foot traffic because we're right downtown. So more information to come on that, but that is kind of an exciting new development there.
Very cool.
As far as the Engineer All-Stars, it's coming up October 15th.
Nice.
And that is a really fun event. It's an opportunity for our engineers, which are a lot of times kind of the unsung heroes.
Absolutely.
I know my office was steaming today. Who came down here? It was our engineer. He came down and fixed it. So I'm, making sure that we, respect and value their contributions. So they get this kind of event that's geared towards them. They have these stations where you get to have these little things that kind of, simulate what you might deal with on a job site. Really fun event, family friendly. We have a kids area with games and activities and like a little video game truck. So something that, anyone can come out.
Nice.
Very open. And I do, obviously it's for the engineers, but for the property managers out there, please come. Support your engineering team. Come out. We'd love to see you.
Yeah, no, I can tell you we've done a game the last couple of years with our control panels, and it's been, I think we've had just as much fun creating the game as they do kind of trying to solve it. We've even set up like little fake or mock versions in the shop and put people through it. So it's a fun event, kind of mixing in a little bit of competition with some learning along the way. So all in pursuit of the golden wrench.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's a fun event, and that was one of my first Houston BOMA events because I started October 4th of last year, and I think it was like a couple weeks into my tenure here. I was Shannon's nodding her head. Yes. Yeah. So it was a couple weeks into my tenure. That was my first big Houston BOMA event. So that was a great one to kind of get introduced to.
Very cool.
The organization.
So we've got the Engineer All-Stars coming up in October. What else does BOMA have on tap for the rest of the year?
Well, I'm gonna have to look at my notes here because I don't have all these dates memorized. My bad. August 25th, we have a membership luncheon. Really excited about this. We have Mark Herrera. He's the Director of Safety and Security for the International Association of Venue Managers.
Okay.
He's going to come do a presentation about, safety and security on commercial properties. And then we're going to follow that up with a Stop the Bleed training. So Stop the Bleed is a program of the American College of Surgeons, which I worked for, obviously, which is why I knew about it. But it's kind of, I would describe it as it's like a CPR course for bleeding.
Okay.
If that makes sense. It's like, what do you do if someone is dealing with life-threatening bleeding? What are the right steps to ensure that they get the care they need, and what can you do to potentially save their lives? And it's something that, hopefully you learn that skill and never have to use it.
Right.
But if you have to use it, you could literally save someone's life. Bleeding is, the number one cause of preventable death in, accidents. So it's like it's
a big deal.
It's a big deal.
I think most people probably think of CPR when you say first aid training, and not stopping the bleeding.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And that was something, the American College of Surgeons saw that there was a gap there, that, that was something that is common. And, obviously we have terrible things like mass shootings and things like that, but even just people get in car wrecks, they break their leg, they, have a big gash on their leg, they bleed out before the ambulance gets there. It happens, So just having that skill set where maybe you can make a difference in someone's life, I think is of value. It is limited spaces, so if you haven't registered yet, please do. Yeah. But we are looking forward to that. I think that'll be a really neat, event.
Very cool.
Beyond that, Women in BOMA is having a great night at the ballpark on September 28th.
Okay.
So they'll do a stadium tour. They'll watch batting practice, and then they'll actually sit down in a suite. I think that is sold out, but you can get on the waiting list.
Is that at the Astros or at the Space Cowboys? Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's Space. Love the Space Cowboys. I live in Sugar Land. It's a great stadium. I drive by it every day, but no, we're doing it. At the Astros Stadium.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool.
We're also going to do, we've been doing a lot of outreach to industrial, trying to kind of increase our industrial education and stuff. So we will have tentatively scheduled October 6th industrial kind of happy hour and educational opportunity. More details to come on that. October 15th, we mentioned the Engineer All-Stars.
Yep.
November 2nd is our educational symposium.
Yes.
We have a great program this year. I think it's really worth checking out. We have a great keynote speaker, Josh Richards, who's the Director of Sustainability at Transwestern.
Yep.
He's going to be presenting on ESG in the commercial space. Hot topic, something that everyone needs to learn more about. I still need to learn more about it. And the symposium, one thing that we also got done this year is we got approval. The symposium will offer continuing professional development points for your BOMI designation. So if you have your RPA, SMA, SMT, FMA, you can come and get CPD points. November 14th, we'll have our fundraiser on the fairway for the Houston BOMA Foundation.
Okay.
That's going to be at Sweetwater Country Club out in Sugar Land. That'll be a great opportunity to kind of come out for good cause, play some golf, have some good times. And then December 2nd is our annual awards at Post Oak, which is obviously always a great
event.
time.
Yeah, that is a great event. Nice.
Yeah.
And I think the symposium is going to be a great event. Like you said, hot topic, and a lot of impact potentially to the commercial market. So, a lot of good things on tap for the rest of the year.
Yeah. In general, I think we're in a great spot. I know that there's still some troubles within the industry, but I think this is a resilient industry. I think that we've seen that even during a time of reduced occupancies, our members have pivoted and changed and reworked spaces, and I think that we're really in a spot as an organization, as an industry, where there is an opportunity for growth. Particularly, like I said, on the industrial medical side. Those are two segments that I think we've done a very good job of reaching out to our office folks and providing the products and services they need. Those are two segments that we want to work on, improving our outreach to as well.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, those are both very active and growing sectors in Houston for sure.
Yeah.
So very cool. So anything maybe that we didn't cover so far, or things you might want people to know about BOMA if they're not already involved, or maybe their members have been out for a while, what would you say to them?
Yeah, get involved, get engaged. We're always looking for volunteer leadership, whether that be at the committee level, the board level, or we have these special interest groups geared towards different product classes. Get involved, get engaged. We need your leadership. We need your vision. We need your guidance. We have a professional staff here, but there's only 5 of us. Help you to work the registration, help us work the registration desk or whatever. Just get involved, get engaged. It does make a difference, not only for the industry. When you get involved, engaged with us, you're helping the industry, but it'll help you too. I mean, there's a lot of professional development and growth that you can get through getting involved with industry groups like ours. So, if you aren't involved, get involved. Reach out to our Director of Membership and Business Development, Natalia Lara. She'll let you know where you can get plugged in.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Bradley, really enjoyed talking with you today on the podcast, and definitely appreciate everything that you got going on here in BOMA, Houston. And, only been here, maybe almost a year now.
Almost a year.
Coming up on a year.
Working on it.
Maybe a little late, but welcome to Houston. Hopefully you're enjoying it, and great to see some, good changes and things going forward in Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I inherited a great organization. Tammy Betancourt was our longtime CEO, 21 years, ran this organization very well. I inherited a great board and staff, so right now it's just kind of onward and upward.
Yeah, very cool. Well, like I said, thanks again for coming on the show, and I also want to thank everyone for watching and listening today to this episode of Building Value, and hope to see you on the next one.